Welcome back, my friends. This is the Predictive Playbook. I'm your host, John Ryan, and I am pleased to tell you that it is week one of college football, and I cannot wait. I've had an awesome August. I actually finished first at Sportsmemo in the NFL exhibition, and you probably already know I was number one there last year in the NFL, 65.8% for the season, including the Super Bowl. And speaking of Super Bowls, I've really have enjoyed the horseshoe more times than not, going 18-5 in the Super Bowl over the last 23 years. So there's been some luck with those, but you know what? Sometimes when you're running hot, the luck happens. I think the best play of all the five unit plays that I released over the last week, and sometimes they do come in bunches, was last night. And I know when people bought it, they're probably going, oh no, oh no. And it was the Yankees versus the A's. And I was on the A's money line. And the research, when you read the report, it was just no question about it. It didn't mean that it was not going to lose. But it was a terrific ball game. The pitching matchup was exactly how we thought it was going to go. And lo and behold, Oakland wins plus 140 as a 5-unit underdog. And those are the ones that really stack up your bank account. I can't emphasize that enough. The ones that don't are the one, minus 175 it loses. So there you have it. It just has been a great NFL season. Coming into this year, I was 62% over the last 5 years. And now finished the year at 83.3%, which I have to admit is just, I'm very pleased with that. The models and the neural nets that I use, the machine learning tools, are all working on all cylinders. And to be honest with you, they actually have learned from the previous 10 years that I've been developing them. And I can't be more excited about the college football season and the NFL. So do yourself a favor. It's still, I asked Sportsmemo to continue the promotion since there was such a high demand for it. $399. So you're getting $400 off the $799 price of the NFL season package for just $399. And we're throwing in college football for free. And these are two of the sports that I just love and I study and I research and I just can't get enough of. And we started out the college football season with a winner. And that was on UTEP, who destroyed New Mexico State. That clearly was a pretty easy winner. We had Jacksonville yesterday as a 4-unit play, destroyed Dallas. And, in hindsight, that looked like a pretty easy call. But if you look at the research report, what happened in that game is exactly what the models were looking for. And when those situations collide, the win percentage really goes up, and it goes up into the 80% range. So that doesn't mean we're going to win every bet, guys. We have some bad breaks where reports can predict the right outcome of the game, and you can still lose. And that's why we don't hit 80% for a season, but we can certainly hit 75 to 85 in the NFL preseason like we just did. So I am really, really proud of the fact that I'm number one again in the preseason, number one last season. And I want you to take advantage of this. $399 to invest in yourself and have me with a proven track record of 27 years, 7 straight years in the NFL, making money for my clients. So take advantage of it and get on board, and I guarantee you we are going to have a blast. So I'm going to be waiting for Rob Veno and Tony Finn, but Let's welcome to the show, Dart 3567. How's it going, John Ryan? Well, as they said in the movie Wall Street, any better and it'd be a sin. And I really mean that. So it has just been a tremendous August. Very grateful for it. And just looking forward to week one of the NFL coming up in about week and a half. And then, college football this week. And I already put out a video on the Bowling Green, Tennessee game. And we're going to take a look at that actually right now. But let's just get into college football because I can't stand it anymore. So here we go. Here's the system. Bowling Green, Tennessee. Now, this is like the contrarian bet of all contrarian bets. And it is a 3-unit bet. So we go 3, 4, 5-unit bets. or 3, 4, 5% is what I do. That's how WagerTalk does it. And to be honest with you, that is how professional sports bettors do it. It's not like a gut feeling, well, I think I'm going to go for this one. You just don't do that. It's the worst thing you can possibly do. And if you learn one thing from me, you must remain disciplined and just stay with the program. Have the plan like this, and it's like a plan that I give out for in-game betting. You know the plan before the game starts. And if the game flow matches that, then you take advantage of it. And I'm sure, as I am sitting here, there are going to be some tremendous opportunities in the NFL with in-game betting, just like there was in the NBA. And many of you tailed those plays, and those things were, sometimes you have to shake your head and think, wow. And I admit that, but it's the models. It's those models can put together more calculations than our brain could even comprehend in a month, in a matter of seconds. So that's the power of it with technology today, and knowing how to use it, knowing how to respect it, and knowing how to be disciplined with it, and it'll bring you profits. So in this game here, we have Bowling Green, and I know Bowling Green, worst team probably in the nation, certainly the worst team in the MAC and mid-major MAT. Also at Sportsmemo, will probably say the same thing. He was number 1 last year in college football. And I was right behind him, but we can share the wealth here. But in the MAC, Bowling Green was pretty awful last year, losing to Akron, who at the time was the worst. Had a tremendously long losing streak, so kudos to Akron for getting that off their back. But Bowling Green is going to be better. And the reason they're going to be better is recency bias. Recency bias suggests that, what do you remember about them? You can say it in the chat room, guys. What do you remember about Bowling Green? Other than they were 0-5. Or that you may not have remembered that, but when were they even in a bowl game? And they're playing Tennessee? And isn't Tennessee in the SEC? Well, see, this is where we get the market overpriced. And this opened at 31.5, quickly went up to 33.5, currently 34.5. And I think this is a worthy bet. I'm not saying for an instance that Bowling Green has any chance to take on an SEC team that should be on the rise after this season. I think Tennessee has some things in place. They got the transfer from Michigan in Milton, and he was in a three-man race, including the incumbent, Cade McNamara. He got the job. So, kudos to him. Milton is in a great acquisition. I think Michigan is going to regret losing him. So to go from Michigan as a starter and then not have things go your way because the personnel, in my opinion, the personnel packages they ran were not, maximizing his skill set to lead the team. And I think they're going to see this kid really do a great job at Tennessee. Now, he's 6'5", 245 pounds, and he's not exceptionally mobile. So that could be an issue in that fast-paced defensive front that the SEC brings every single week. But he's very accurate, has a very strong arm, and he's smart. And I think this is going to pay out for Tennessee down the road. In this matchup, though, I think this is way too many points for week 1. You just named the starting quarterback on Friday, 3 days ago. You were one of the last programs to name a starting quarterback, and you're playing Thursday night. So even though he had most of the first string snaps, I think there's going to be a bit of a learning curve. But that learning curve is going to be very steep. And I feel good about this move by the head coach, which is, he's a new head coach, and he's making tough decisions, but I think this one is going to be very good for the Tennessee Volunteers. But in this matchup, we see that betting on underdogs of 21.5 points that is facing a team that completed only 58% of their passes. That was Tennessee last year. And with 5 or fewer offensive starters back from last year, and that is Bowling Green. and you have a record of 26-5 with one push against the spread for 84% winners the last 5 seasons. So yes, it is a crazy bet to think like, oh my goodness, am I going to actually put money on Bowling Green here at plus 34.5? Well, like I said, I'm not thinking that they can even stay with Tennessee. However, you may remember last year I actually said it on a live TV show, that LSU plus 27.5 was going to cover, and that they had everything in place to upset Florida. And lo and behold, it happened. And I'll be honest with you, I was shocked as anybody else. But it was all the matchups that I was looking at, all the research. It wasn't the fact that it was 27.5. It was the fact that the market had priced it that way, but I saw the game, more like a plus 7.5. Now in this matchup, I don't see Bowling Green plus 7.5. They are by far the weaker team. They're undersized on the defensive line. I do think that somebody's going to step up on Bowling Green and get some pressure on this transfer, Milton from Michigan, and make some plays. And that is what's going to keep them in the game. So 34.5 is an awful lot of points to give to any team. And I know there's matchups where it's because of the money that goes to the lesser school, so to speak, that the Auburn could be favored by 45 against somebody, or Alabama. This is a little bit different in my opinion. So I really like this play. It's a 3-unit bet on Bowling Green plus 34.5. I actually don't think this line is going to go too much higher. I think the sharps that had betted at 31.5 are going to step in and buy it back. It's hard. My experience tells me it's hard that you can get a line to go from 34.5 to 35.5 and leap over that key number of 5 touchdowns. Of course, you can do 50% right now at plus 34.5 and see if it gets to 35.5 and then hammer the rest of the 50%. But you don't bet more than, because it's at 35.5. You got to be disciplined with this. So senior Mac McDonald has been named the starting quarterback for Bowling Green, and I already went over the Michigan transfer, Joe Milton. So this is a matchup I think is a one that Bowling Green can cover probably by 10. I really don't see Tennessee winning this game 52-0, but of course that can happen. But as a 3-unit play, I like this play a lot. So take Bowling Green for a show best bet, and we'll see what happens Thursday night. And let's see what's going on here. Jeff Swayze says, hello, John. Thanks for doing this show every day. Yeah, sometimes when I do a monologue, I keep looking over here to see where my boys are, and like, hey guys, I need a little help here. Need a little help. But it's a lot of fun, and I appreciate all the support you guys give, and the likes and the subscribes have been going up, and it's just been a lot of fun. A lot of fun. Twitter followers, we added 900 in the last 24 days. And I guess complimenting myself, you don't do that unless you're doing something right, or we're doing a fun show, or something that's enjoyable and rewarding. So we appreciate it. We really do. I believe Rob Veno is doing a college football show, as is Tony Finn is doing radio. So hopefully they'll be able to join us here before I run out of things to say. But things to say, I mean, if you're a golf fan, that had to be one of the most unbelievably well-played, elite-played finals I've ever seen. And then they went into extra holes. And you maybe remember last week, I gave out Cantley as one of the guys to bet to win top 10. And lo and behold, he wins. And that's 2 weeks in a row now. The models, it's all mathematics, it's all probabilities, but 2 weeks in a row, we've nailed it. Finau last week, and people were not even giving him a shot. And it was just to set up the course. Sometimes these guys get on a course, even, DeChambeau coming in second. I mean, that guy, he thought he had won it so many times, and so did all of us. And then, the golfing gods just say, no, you're going to have to wait. You're going to have to wait. And Cantley just set the all-time PGA Tour record for putts gained an event, not just one round. He gained over 14 and a half strokes putting in this event. And if you watched it, you could see in his eyes, if it was within 20 feet, it was going in. And I've never seen anything like that in my life. He was talking before the tournament how they kind of tweaked the grip back to the way he used to like it. And he's a guy that doesn't make any changes. He's one of those golfers that's traditional. And you keep doing the fundamentals correctly. You keep practicing them. And everything will come around when you're going through a slump. So, unlike Bryson, unlike a lot of these guys that change clubs a lot and putters a lot, he's one that just doesn't do it. Phil Mickelson went through a part of his career where he was using a putter that was almost as old as he was. And that ping answer, I believe, was actually started back when Arnold Palmer was playing. And I'd have to look that up. But I know if you look at Arnie's putter and Phil's putter when he was winning the majors, it looks identical. So when things feel good in the hands and you're striking the ball well and the confidence builds, you see what happened with Cantley. And, of course, this week again, you're going to see that the public betting is not going to give Cantley a chance. They're going to look at that as like an outlier and say, "Well, wow, he can't repeat that." Well, he is one of the best putters I have ever seen live, and I wish I would have been there live yesterday. To line up putts the way he does, and it's the same routine, and he takes that front left foot. And each time he, waggles his feet back and forth, you'll notice that he narrows the stance. And I don't know why he does that, but it's a routine. And when that routine works, these guys are straighten putts like you just can't believe, especially him. So we did have, let me see if I can pull up the player pool that I had given out last week. Because the one that really stuck out was this guy, Sergio Garcia, who did extraordinarily well, and he's playing in Atlanta next week. And that's a great thing. That's a really great accomplishment for him. And it definitely solidifies him for the Ryder Cup. And in my opinion, he's the greatest Ryder Cup player of all time. When it was the Ryder Cup, he could go head-to-head with Tiger and take him down. And it's a pretty cool thing. It's going to make the Ryder Cup a lot more even with him on the roster, certainly. And it just is one of those great events to watch, period. And Eric Van, I can't even pronounce his name, from South Africa, Eric Van Rooyen, he had another excellent round tournament. Scotty Scheffler did underperform, but as you can see, he was down, the last on the list of the pool. So a lot of these players are identified by the models to help you fit in that $50,000 DraftKings requirement. So I think if you go down this list here, you're going to see that a lot of these guys outperformed what the market was saying. And I had 5 lineups, 3 out of the 5 cashed. It wasn't like the previous week with Finau winning, but I had Cantley and DeChambeau in one of the lineups, so that was pretty cool. And I just can't wait for this week and start running the stuff. And we'll be talking with 2 of the guys that have provided really good intelligence for me and have helped augment my performance and results, and David Behrman of ESPN and also Nick Borman of WagerTalk. And Nick Borman has gone 9 for 9 on my shows with profitability of what he suggests to tail, matchup bets, and David Behrman is 16 out of 18 shows. So it shows if you want to bet golf and you want to play the DraftKings, there's shows that you definitely got to take in. So enough about golf. And I'm wondering where my buddies are here, but it wouldn't be the first time we did a little show by ourselves. I do want to say this. Jimmy Adams and Adam Trigger, along with Mad George, who lives in Greece, is going to join me in a pre-recorded show. We're going to record it right around 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow. And it's week 1 of the NCAA football season. And as I said in the beginning of the show, I just cannot wait. Just cannot wait for this to take place. And as much as I say that, I can't wait to do the research on the games. I can't wait to do the matchups. I can't wait to look at the opportunities that the market is giving us. And sometimes I rarely watch a game from start to finish in either college football or the NFL. I choose to then look at the abbreviated videos that are available from the NCAA that you can watch in a consolidated fashion in about 20 minutes, and you don't get biased from the announcers, especially in the NFL, because you have announcers sometimes that are the hometown announcers. But if I am watching a live game, sometimes I turn the volume off and just watch what I'm seeing and let my eyes tell me what I'm seeing, and then I take notes, and then we get at it with the coach's video that comes out later Sunday night and no later than Monday morning. So I can go through a lot of games very quickly. And I also have a tool that I'm going to introduce on the NFL show later this week that I think you guys are going to really, really like. And what it is Python is an amazingly strong coding language. And what I've been able to do is teach it yards of separation that a receiver gets from a cornerback or a safety. So I've been able to break it down in every single coverage, every single offensive formation, every single offensive package, down in distance, and be able to determine who are the best defenders in the NFL week to week. And of course, I can run it for last season, which I have, and I'm going to present that on the show later this week. And that's going to help you guys determine a lot of things in fantasy. So I think a lot of guys, gals, take a look at fantasy, and you're always thinking offense because that's what it is. It's points. But it's more important to actually look at who they are going up against. And if somebody's going up against one of the guys in my top 10 in coverage, especially in double route coverage and closing speed, and that's what this application does. It goes through the video and it identifies, who's getting beat on defense, which is another good key for DraftKings and your fantasy lineups, and also who has the best closing speed. So in a double route, for example, a wide receiver, if he gets an advantage on the first cut, odds are he's going to get an even bigger advantage on the second cut where he goes vertical down the field. Well, I've watched plenty of video, and in the video, the guys who are really great cornerbacks, and some of the names you're going to be surprised, but if I show you the video of some of the clips where they close, and they close hard, even though they were beat on that second cut. Like, imagine going down and out and then up because the rush was so great. Quarterback bought some time. You'd be amazed at how fast some of these cornerbacks can close. It's not all about that 40 speed. It's about quickness and reaction and anticipation, especially that last word, anticipation. So these guys have like an instinct that, okay, he just went down and out. Quarterback just got flushed out. Immediately, they go to the deep route. And it's pretty fun to watch and learn. So that's enough on that. I do have a Major League Baseball play to give you guys, too. Let's see. Let me pull it up here. You're going to like this one, too. I actually was told that Marco D'Angelo is on the same side. I didn't actually hear that on WagerTalk today, but that's a show you got to watch. It's on at noon, and thanks to YouTube, if you watch it archived, you can actually hit 2 times the speed, and they sound funny, but you can follow it. I mean, you just want the information. You don't necessarily watch for an hour when it's archived, and I get all that. So I started doing these much faster 2 minute and 30-second clips, and there is a clip on this one, and here we are, San Diego versus Arizona. Now this is a game where not too long ago, you probably would have never watched the show again if I would have said bet Arizona. But they are actually playing more of who they are. And, bad teams with lack of depth, lack of whatever, can go into tailspins, just like we saw with Baltimore. I don't think Baltimore's going to work their way out of it like Arizona has, but Arizona all of a sudden started playing better, and that was something what I was looking for. It's much like a chart of a stock or Bitcoin when it got crushed. Steve Merrill and I were looking for that turnaround that would give you the bottom and the confidence then to say, okay, well, the correction's over. Now we're going to get on it. So same thing with Arizona. And Arizona is playing much better than what the market has not caught up to them. And the market has not caught up to San Diego. And, on any given night, San Diego might win 10-0 tonight. But I do not think that team is going to bounce back from their dismal performances of the past month. So what I have here in Arizona, there's really never been a question where their offense is always potentially good. Scoring an average of 4.3 runs per game the last 7 games, 4.6 runs per game in home games, which is where they are tonight. But the bullpen has really pulled it together, and I can't tell you why. But the last 7 games, their bullpen ERA is 3.47 with a 1.629 whip. And that's been the best they have had all year. I go back up here to San Diego, who did have a good bullpen, but because the starters weren't getting quite the job done, they've been taxed, and they have thrown a ton of innings. They have averaged over 5 innings a game over the last 7 games. And there's only 9 innings in a game, guys and gals. If the starter can't go 4+, then you're in trouble. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And that bullpen is beat up, and it's tired and weary, and 5.60 ERA last 7 games, 1.359 whip. Only 28 strikeouts in 35 innings. Even that is lackluster. It's just not going to get it done at any level, no matter who they're playing. So Arizona is the pick here, and they are a rather significant dog. And I'll be happy to tell you I have a 3-pack going tonight in Major League Baseball. I usually have a 3-pack every day for $19. And this is one of the plays. So you get one of the plays. The other 2 plays, one is a dog of significance, and the other one is a total. And my totals have been rocking here for about the last 90 days. So I really like the card, and I think you will too once you get on board. But the key is to get on board and follow it every day, and stick with me. It's a trend, and I know I'm going to make money. I don't know what days I'm going to make money. I can be really confident and tell you that, oh yeah, tonight's going to go 3-0. But I don't know that, and it's not fair to say that. But I do know over the course of time and 27 years of experience, it's going to work. And it's going to work well. Just like it's done in football, and you saw it again in the NFL preseason. So in this particular matchup, I think San Diego is, I don't care who's pitching. Chris Paddock is on the mound. He's a righty. Tyler Gilbert's the lefty for Arizona. Arizona's lost twice as many games as they've won. San Diego 7 games over 500, and this is the perfect storm. With Arizona being at least a plus 150 in the marketplace right now. I guess it's plus 165. We can look it up here. We got San Diego, Arizona. Here it is. Plus 169. 170 at William Hill. As you know, I like Heritage and Penny because they are known not to be a square shot. They take on the big bet action globally. So that Heritage is plus 168. Penny's at plus 167. And Circa plus 166. Westgate 169. Those 2 Vegas books basically surround what Pinnacle and Heritage have. So I think, without a question, this is a play to use on the money line, Arizona tonight, and just play it with action. And what that means is that you're not saying that I want Gilbert to pitch for Arizona or start. I don't want Paddock to start. I just want the game to start. And that's where I'm coming from with this. It's a situation where the whole team of San Diego is in a full-fledged collapse, and that bullpen is not going to get. It's not going to be able to respond and recover from all the demands that have been put on them for the whole entire season. So, hey, the cavalry's here. The cavalry's here. Welcome, Rob.
Hello, John. Sorry to be so late here today.
Oh, you're not late. Other commitments, man.
Well, all of us know, right? You know as well as anybody. Football, we're a little heavier in demand at this point in time, and that's all right. Always going to make it. Just a matter of what time I can get in here. But we're good.
I was just finishing up this play here. This is one of my 4-unit plays for tonight of a 3-pack. And I heard that Marco was on it too. And I always like being associated with that baseball guy because he's pretty good. He's more than pretty good. He won 25 in a row once. And not one of them was higher than minus 125 on the money line. And to do that, that's not just having a horseshoe as a good luck charm or a rabbit foot. That's expertise in my eyes. So I just think San Diego is cooked, Rob. I know you touched upon it last week and the week before. The bullpen is in shambles. They threw 35 and a third innings over the last 7 games. And I just don't understand why I can go out right now and bet Arizona at plus 169 at Penny. So I'm on them.
Excuse me.
Sunheight.
Well, I will say this. 2 things, I guess. To your point about the bullpen being overworked, that's not a thing just of, and the numbers you rattled off, that indicates fatigue. It's been 3 weeks worth of fatigue for this team. Their starting pitching was all on the IL at the same time. We talked about how Craig Stammen, a bullpen guy, was forced to start a couple of games inside 1 week. Tonight they bring back Chris Paddock. Before he went on IL, he wasn't throwing well. And coming off of IL, I would be skeptical of how well he can throw here. And the potential for the bullpen to have to get involved again tonight is really a high percentage chance that that'll happen. So I can totally understand this play. Gilbert on the other side, the kid who threw the no-hitter, had a rough start when he had to go to Coors Field. But, you know, your first start in Coors Field, who doesn't? He came back and pitched pretty well after that. So I think he's in his fourth Major League start here. And, boy, you know, if Arizona can get him some runs, they certainly at home have the opportunity to score a bunch here. It's a team that has played better since the return of Ketel Marte. Remember, I think when we last talked Friday, John, Arizona was in Philadelphia, right? And that was a game where Ketel Marte was out of the starting lineup, as well as Rhys Hoskins. Marte came in the 10th inning of that game to hit a home run to push Arizona over the top, and he's back in the lineup now. So I'd be hard-pressed to lay anything with San Diego right now. The only thing that's in their favor is that Cincinnati hasn't run away yet and hidden with that second wild card. I think it's a 1.5 game separation. Padres will get a chance to see the Cincinnati result or pretty deep into the game because I think the Reds game starts at 6:40 East. And this game in Arizona starts around 9:40.
9:40,
So San Diego will probably know what Cincinnati has done, but I don't even know that makes a difference. I mean, you could have in your head all the we have to win. You know, you could have that. to the cows come home. But going out and doing it is a different thing. And we talked about, I think when we were with Jesse, right? Jesse was on and we were talking about MVP races that day. And the fact that Fernando Tatis is a overwhelming favorite, really. I mean, he's the only minus in the bunch. Everybody else is a pretty significant plus. Even with him back, John, it just hasn't resulted in victory at all. It's a losing record since he's come back for the Padres. I don't know. I'd be with you all the way here. I think Arizona at that price, I mean, just sheer value, sheer logic has to lead you in that direction, right? I mean, try and lead me in San Diego's direction. It's tough. It's tough.
Yeah, I think that's where the public sentiment, it's we saw it with the Yankees really earlier this year. They couldn't get a guy to touch home plate no matter how many guys they had. They could have the bases loaded with nobody out and wouldn't score. And I guess they were trying to do an imitation of the Mets offense. But seriously now, they have turned it around. And Oakland, you'll be shocked by this. I didn't have a chance to chat with you over the weekend, but I put out a 5%er last night on the A's. Mm-hmm. And granted, it took a home run by Kemp in the 8th inning, but boy, was I glad to see that. But even at 1-1, win or lose, I knew that the models and the machine learning apps had identified a good opportunity. And if you keep doing that, as you know, and you just keep identifying the right opportunity, it's going to pay off over the course of a month or a season. So that was I was happy that happened because you know yourself, when we put out the 5%ers, we believe in them, number one. But we also know when we put out those dogs that are plus 140 and higher, and they lose, new customers may be, hesitant to think we know what we're doing. But worse yet is when you put out a minus 175, which none of us do, as a 5%er, like, game of the month, and it loses 13-1, like Texas did to Boston just last week. And I'm segueing myself into the betting and avoidance of thinking that minus 300 favorites in Major League Baseball are a lock. As they definitely are not. Now, you probably know that, and I'm basically saying you to the chat room, in 2021, favorites of minus 300 or more are 25-4 for 86.2%. If you bet $100 on each one of those games, you'd be up $1,200, which reduces the ROI quite a bit. Okay, so what the models are now saying is that is the highest win percentage at this point of any season by far of the last 15 years, going all the way back to 2005 or 2007. I'm sorry. So we always talk about the JR value, which is the P value. That result of 25-4 is a warning flag not to do it, and it's gone too far in that direction, and you're going to see some of these 300-plus dogs win. And I can't emphasize enough. I mean, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But you just don't go out and put money on a 3-1 Major League Baseball game, period. Don't know what else to say about that.
We have one. We have one tonight, right? And it's crazy, John, because the way to be able to halfway manage playing big favorites is to play run line. And, of course, when you play run line, you're taking a risk. Your team might not win by enough. They might win the game and not win by enough. But I was looking earlier at this Toronto game. Robbie Ray, who opened as a $3 plus favorite and has since been bet up. I don't think it's got anything to do with Robbie Ray himself. I think it's got everything to do with the fact that George Springer was activated this afternoon and will likely be in the Blue Jay lineup. But the point here being, they're about anywhere from, when you get into the $3 range, dependent upon the shop you're betting at, the VIGs are all over the place. You could be betting at a 50-cent shop, a 20-cent shop, a 60, who knows. the line varies from about 340, 335 to 360 from what I saw prior to coming on with you. And even if you play the full game run line with the home team giving up an at-bat, if you're ahead after 8.5, right, and the game is over, so you don't get the ninth at-bat, even with all of that, you still have to lay $1.90. So you're betting almost a $2 favorite run line here. I think that the number you used before, the factual number for this season, 25-4 for $3 or better favorites, probably indicates to all of us that as soon as you see these things, it's like a no-win proposition, right? You mentioned, you go 25-4 and you only make 1,200 on
yep.
Picking 25-4 is 25-5 would be 83% winners. So 25-4 is a little better than 83%. You pick 85% winners and get back $1,200. It just makes no sense. And the other side of that coin is if you're betting all those dogs thinking you're going to hit a home run every now and again, and you go 4-25, losing your shirt that way too. So almost the best thing to do when you see those is scratch them. Don't even get involved. As you mentioned, I agree with you that in some case there's a turnaround, a regression back to the mean. Not that $3 dogs and $3 favorites are a 50-50 proposition, but they're certainly not a 1684 proposition either, like we're seeing here. And I'm going to, real quick here, just reiterate one thing that you said while you were talking, when you were talking about the models and the machine learning, getting it right with Oakland last night, or at least pointing you in the right direction. I think it's real important to repeat this. I was on last week when you said this and broke it down for people. I don't know if you had a 5% play that day or not, but there was a play that you had that was an underdog or something, and it was not something the public would want to jump on. Okay, we all have to hold our nose sometimes and play underdogs, right? But I think the way you explained it was, you explained it best, is that the models are telling you. I just want the viewers to get this one more time. There could be some new people. There could be some people who heard it the first time. Let's hear it a second time. The models are telling you not that any one play is going to win, but if you're disciplined enough to follow it over the course of 50 plays, you're going to come out plus money. And just to let people know, if one goes bad, don't jump off. I mean, I think we all work that way, John, where we have our own set of criteria and we just follow it. Tony and I talked about this last week about, I think I jumped my protocol and it slapped me in the rear end. I shouldn't have done it that night. But yeah, we're all working with a set of criteria that is a long haul criteria, making money for a year, for a season. Not, if one day if it goes bad, it goes bad. Things are going to lose. So I just want the viewers to know that, when you're giving out these model plays, even if they don't really generate I want to get on that response, they're there for a reason, and over the course of time, percentages tell you you're going to come out ahead. So you have to have some stick-to-itiveness. You got to have some discipline. We often use that word discipline in money management, John, but I think it goes just the same as for how we come about our selections, right? We have to be disciplined in our beliefs, our philosophies, what we do to come up with these plays. When you go south, sometimes it's hard. When you hit a losing streak, you start doubting yourself a hair bit, and you think, well, maybe. But the guys who are successful in the long run don't tweak too much. I mean, we adjust. Don't get me wrong. You have to adjust on the fly sometimes, but we're not overhauling the belief system, or in your case, the computer model systems that are spitting out the plays for you. So don't get too enamored with one play, folks. Test it out over a long period of time. It's just another way. It's almost like an outline, right, John? We have this main this main subject that we harp on. Buy long term. Don't buy a day. Test it out for 30 days. Test it out for 60 days. Test it out for a season. And then that being number one point in the headline, the outline, and then we have these A, B, C, and D, all the reasons why you should do that. This is just another one of those reasons why, because everything we do isn't necessarily going to produce on any given day picked out of the blue, August 30th, but from January 1 to December 31, if you stick with it, it's going to produce.
You're absolutely right. And thanks for the kudos there. But it makes me. It reminds me of the golf I watched yesterday. And I know you're starting to really like golf a lot, Rob. So I don't know if you watched it, but you probably remember when I had Cantley as one of the guys I thought could win of the three. And all three of the matchups I gave out won. So that was very good. And it was another winning week of top tens. Another winning week of 3 out of 5 DraftKings lineups cashing, but nothing major like the Finau the week before. But that's the first time in my life I've ever had two winners called consecutive weeks. So the models are learning. And what I think they're learning is what you draw upon is that yesterday you had Cantley going up against DeChambeau in overtime, in extra holes. And you could not have picked a more diverse way of playing golf. Every single hole, Cantley was at least 50 to 60 yards behind him. Every single hole, Cantley had a major pressure putt. It was anywhere from 10 to 17 feet in some cases, and he drained it. And he just kept fighting back. DeChambeau then would launch another bomb. DeChambeau hit it in the water the third time they played 18 in a little creek down the right side. Doesn't he take the penalty drop and take a wedge and stick it to 3 feet to the pin? They tie that hole too because Cantley missed the birdie putt. But Cantley set the PGA Tour record for shots gained putting at 14.5 shots. I mean, rarely do you ever hear anybody getting above 6. But it was 14.5. So the point is that there's a lot of different ways that you can end up a season profitable in sports betting, and there's no right way to do it. And I look at fundamental matchups like in football, in the NFL, of all the sports. I would look at the fundamental matchups and I'll tear them down. Till the cows come home. Watch the videos, watch the game, the abbreviated summary videos that they produce. And you don't have to watch the game then and spend, 9 hours on a Sunday. But then I run the models. And then when the fundamentals collide with the models and what the models are projecting, that's when you get really excited. But, that's different than the way you do it. You do it, fundamentals first and foremost. But you've done extraordinarily well too, especially in the NBA. So it just goes to show. I was thinking about that yesterday when I was watching the golf because I think that was the best golf I have ever had the privilege of watching, and I just could not believe the shots these guys were making. They were 28 under on a 7,550-yard course. So that too draws into 18 weeks of the NFL. What is it in football with the playoffs? If you get all the way at 16, it's a grind. You're going to have a week where you have a double bogey, but then you have to put that behind you, and then you go to work for the next week. So I don't mean to draw this out, but when you were talking, I couldn't help myself but to think that, and
yeah, it's so true, John. Because if there's any, the definition of sports betting in simplistic terms or sports handicapping, let's put it that way, the way you come about what you bet. So we'll call it sports handicapping. It's an inexact science at best. If anybody knew the perfect way to produce winners at this, that would have been packaged up and sold. Everybody goes about. Anybody who watches this show in particular, every single day hears 3 different ways to go about things. They hear you very much scientific, which is numerical, statistical, database form. There's, as you mentioned myself, I'm fundamental, followed by situational, and Tony Finn, who is a combination of a lot of things.
He's a
Tony
hybrid.
believes in the fundamentals. He looks at the situations. He's got sources. And I think all of us add in the artistic side to this, which is experience and gut feeling. We talked about gut feeling once on this show. You know what I mean? So it's more than just one thing. But I think if you were to break it down in one of your pie charts, percentage-wise, each of us, the higher percentage of the way we go about it is different in all of us. But we're all incorporating a lot of the same stuff here. I, for one, don't use a lot of technical trends during the week. I'm not looking at such and such as 12-4 ATS the last 9 years against somebody else because coaching staffs and players have all changed in that time period. So I don't find that as useful as other people do, but other people can apply that real good. So I think you're right. It's there's just no right way. And you know, the bottom line is, can you come out and win some money, or are you going to produce a bunch of garbage? Bad weeks happen. I always refer to it, John, as being a guy in man coverage. You get burnt on a long pass play, that same cornerback has to come back and play the next time the offense is on the field. You can't remember that. You have to come back and play just as confidently the next time. That's kind of the boat we're in off of a bad day. We see our favorite Tony Finn off to the right here. I don't know. It doesn't look like it was that hard of a weekend drinking, so maybe Tony Mejia took it easy on him.
I did. Yeah.
I mean, it's the hair in the front there is a little different than it usually is.
Well, maybe.
A little
windy.
I didn't see. I left a message for Tony, but I never heard back from him about. So I'm assuming he's back in Miami by now. I saw him at the meet and greet, and it was the last thing I saw. Last time I saw Tony or heard from Tony. So maybe I offended him at the meet and greet. I have a tendency to do that to people. I offend them.
Oh, I don't think you do.
Not purposely.
I don't think you do. I mean, Rob Veno just called you artistic.
Yeah, artistic.
I think there's a little artistic to Tony, for sure.
I called you a hybrid.
Hybrid, yeah. Well, I've been called many things. Listen, there's nothing you can call me. I don't think I haven't been called. Yeah.
We don't need to know those kind of names, though.
It doesn't matter. I'm telling you right now, people say something to me and said, "Well, didn't that offend you?" I said, "That's funny. You can't offend unless you're a hell of a lot more creative than the rest of the world. You can't call me something I haven't been called, and you probably can't be more creative than they are."
Well, we're not going.
I'm pleased to tell you, Tony. You know, I'm getting better at the. It's not bragging if it's fact, and I'm number one NFL preseason again.
What's your record?
Sportsmemo. 83%.
Which would be what? 7-1?
12-2.
It is
more than that.
It's got to be.
What is it? 11?
It's got to be 6-1, right?
11-3, I think.
That's a lot of preseason action.
I always have that many. I kid you not. I look at some of these games and
you're always 83%. And you're always 83%, right? Always.
No, this is definitely the best year ever. I mean, I came into this year.
Let's qualify that right now.
5-year track record that Johnny D verified at 62% against the spread NFL preseason.
Good. Yeah, I'm right now.
Then
my lifetime.
Think I'm going to regress, right?
My lifetime preseason, 22-8. Now that's only about a year for you. See, that's 7. That's 8 seasons.
Yeah,
that's 8 seasons.
Yeah, well,
which is I don't know what the percentage. I'm saying that's probably about 70% or something. But that's guess what? Mean anything. The only thing that matters is today.
Well,
even this 3-week season, and Dallas and Pittsburgh obviously played 4 games, but in this, we were talking about 3 versus 4 week preseason and how the coaches were going to handle this. And what I found out, and I don't think I needed my models to tell me this, but they did, that teams that don't play starters at all across the board those first 2 games and lose the first 2, lose the third, lose the fourth. And Dallas did a wonderful job yesterday for me of accommodating that.
I couldn't attest to that, nor would I. You see, and as I would listen a little bit of what Rob said. For me, I'm like Rob in that way. I don't use trends, not unless they're sports book related trends. And what I mean by that is they have to be more than. And I used this example on the show. If you guys remember, I had a guy give me a lot of trouble because I released Atlanta a couple years ago in the playoffs in Game 1, and he said that might be the worst pick ever in the history of picks because they're such and such in Game 1 of postseasons. And I said, and Atlanta hadn't been in the postseason for 8 years or something like that, right?
Right.
And he said, well, here's their record in Game 1. So I said, well, how many of the active players
That's right.
today were part of that trend? And he said, doesn't matter. A trend's a trend. I said, well, we live in two different orbits. We live in two different orbits because it matters.
It does matter. And I'll tell you, that's the thing with the P value, the JR value. Rob and I were just talking about it, and I'll pull this up on the database. We were talking about favorites of 300 or more. Minus 300 money line baseball. Mm-hmm. Okay, they're 25-4 right now for this season. And I'm making a statement that they should be, nobody that's listening to this show should ever bet a minus 300 money line favorite, not necessarily ever, but at least for the rest of the season, because what's going to happen is some of these dogs, we saw it with Texas at Boston, what were they, plus 320? And they won 13-1. Mm-hmm. So don't ever think, if you're listening to the chat room and that, the higher the money line is, well, that's a lock. Well, it's not. And over the last 15 years, and this basically sums it up. This is 10 years, and I can tell you what the 15. Let me just go to the 15 and be done with it.
Well, to comment a little bit on yours, listen. Those are some trends I will pay attention to. I mean, the fact is, minus 200 over minus 200 teams. That's a bookmaker trend. See, that's something that they establish, and they establish it for several reasons. It doesn't necessarily. I played yesterday. I played the White Sox when they opened it, minus 207, because I had a feeling that this was not only did I like the pick, but it's rare that that the public is going to get down at minus 200 on Cease. I think I've expressed how I feel about Cease and who he is.
I think you have.
Especially a minus 200 when it's an inner city, a Cubs, White Sox, minus 207 with Cease against Hendricks, guys. Hendricks, who vastly more experienced, vastly more successful over his career than Cease. Cease will have to be in the league quite a while to surpass some of the things that Hendricks has accomplished. However, Hendricks hadn't been very good last month, and listen, he's getting tired, and it's tough at his age, at his the miles, the wear and tear, and the miles on his arm to give that extra bit of oomph in a performance when the Cubs are just playing out the season. So the White Sox, listen, the White Sox have a substantial. The guy argued with me and said, "Well, no, White Sox are clearly going to win this division." I said, "Yeah, but." Cease has a lot to play for, and this team still has aspirations of possibly having the best record in the American League, which means something to them. I believe it means something that if they like pitching at home. So yeah, but you're right. Listen, minus 200, minus 300, even the record, I think it was 160 and 60 minus 200 favorites or better home favorites. There was some other criteria, but they were book-related criteria, and even then, guys, I'm going to pick my spots. I'm not going to blindly play something that's minus 200. I should say,
Well, I can tell you, I'm looking at it right now, minus 300.
That's something. Listen, minus favorites. 300 it's a rare. Minus 300 are I don't care where we are. It's pretty rare.
2019, there was 84 games.
2019. Okay, let me ask you this: how many of those minus 300s were in late August and September?
Well, you're going
I
right into my point.
I promise you, 75% of them were there.
Yep.
Yeah.
So here you go. This is home favorites minus 300 since 2007. 243 wins, 69 losses for 78% winners. That sounds
Right.
incredible, right?
Well, no, let's do the math. Now let's do the math.
Okay, ROI.
How about the ones who lose?
ROI.
And then, the thing is, you don't know. Is it minus 305 or is it minus 395? Because that 90 cents makes a difference.
Well, it averaged 332.
Okay. That average, good. You got an average. I like it. Yeah.
Yep. ROI, 0.3.
Yes.
78% winners. You're a god, man. You could market the hell out of that.
And guess what, John?
Until your clients
Guess what,
realize that
Bob?
they didn't make any money.
We have people in this industry that do exactly that.
Yep.
And that's one thing I give,
Yep.
one thing you have to give a check mark to WagerTalk for, and that's, guess what? It's, along with the record, actually, if you look at like today's hot cappers, it's not the record as much as it's the return on investment.
That's right.
Yeah.
And that's what one of our guys said in the chat room. It's ROI. Win percentage doesn't mean.
Not in baseball, especially not in baseball.
And I don't mean to boast that Rob has to hear this again, but my 5%er last night was on the Oakland A's, and even going into the eighth. And granted, Kemp had to hit the home run to get the win. I felt that I had made the right recommendation, the right bet, and those are the bets that we've talked about. Where if I keep doing that over and over again, just like you guys do, that's gonna. At the end of the season, it's going to make money. Yeah. But that was one where I'm sure people bought it and thought, "Oh my God, John Ryan's lost his mind."
Well, why would you have lost your mind though? What was?
But I guess to be fair, you
because
guys would think I lost my mind because you know me, you know my kind of style. That
Well, I know you've lost your mind, but why do they think that?
Probably because they don't know me then.
Okay. Yeah, it would be when people say you've lost your mind. It has to be with me. It has to be before the game started, and you better tell me why he's lost his mind. Not after there was a game, because that's why they play the game.
I mean, to be fair, if somebody buys that pick, the Yankees have been scorching hot.
Right.
And there is, the talk about regression, and we throw that word out there, but a lot of people don't really understand what that can mean. You can have progression, too, as we've seen with the Arizona Diamondbacks of late.
Well, there's positive and negative regression.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely.
And that game tonight, we went over that earlier. San Diego against Arizona. I'm all over Arizona. That's a 4-unit play, part of my 3-pack.
Yeah.
And I think, Rob agreed with it, too, that how can you?
Why wouldn't it be? Listen, I bet heavy. I bet heavy, and I bet hard the other night against Weathers. Okay.
Yep.
And I released the over, mostly because both staffs. Not only it just made the over made more sense than the Angels. Although the Angels that margin was more decisive than the 12 runs that were scored. But Weathers has been horrible. Listen, since his first month, his hard contact rate is atrocious. He can't help but get beat up. With any luck at all with batted balls. It's inevitable when your hard contact rate is 50%. Every other ball is hit hard. You better pray it's hit right at somebody. And those are the things, really, John and Rob. We all know that those are the things that happen. There's plenty of games I've lost that I've put big numbers on and big percentages on, and I've lost them because I can say I didn't see it right, but I know those things can happen. Have the luck of batted ball luck is something that even the best defenses in the history of Major League Baseball are not victims of, and that's just the way it is.
Little shout out to Dave Johnson here in the chat room. He's the one that said
ex-manager, David Johnson.
No, and he doesn't know Davey Roberts either, even though their names are the same.
Huh?
He's Dave and Dave
Oh,
Roberts.
Dave Roberts.
Same,
He doesn't know Dave Roberts? Well, he's soon to get in. If he sticks around this show very long, he's soon to learn all there is to learn about Dave Roberts.
Yes, sir. And there's Dave Roberts on the phone again. Every time we bring him up, the phone rings.
No, that's not. Let me take care of this for you. I'll take care of Dave. Dave, don't be calling me during the show. Do not be calling me during the damn show, Dave.
It's probably Jensen.
I am not forgiving you. I'll talk to you later. There you go.
And that statement that was posted by the person in the chat room there, I mean, to Tony's point, that statement holds more water when it comes to baseball.
What's that?
That
And
ROI
hockey.
means everything. And
Yes.
rather than
Yes.
because when you're betting point spread sports at minus 110 vig, win percentage is extremely important.
It is. Even at minus 130. There'll be an
That's
occasional
important.
130 or something. Yes. It applies. Listen,
It's the money
win
line
percentage-
sports
That's right.
that it really
Yep.
means something. Because you
Hockey-
could have a
it-
losing record and make money.
And that can apply to football if you're a money line player in football. But
Right,
for the most part, you don't meet and there's plenty of sharp guys who are nothing but money line players. They don't play point spreads. They play money line. And that's why a lot of times people will say to me, how can this money line be, or they'll ask me, how can this money line be this when the point spread's this? And the simple answer is, unless I know her firsthand, is somebody's hit the money line pretty hard. They got to move it just like they move the point spread. The two are not connected. They just aren't. They're different pools. It's just the bottom line.
Yep.
Yeah. One's a small pool and one's an extremely large worldwide
That's
ocean.
right. It's not real difficult. I guess what would we use an example would be the point moving a number in the South or the Sun Belt Conference isn't the same as moving a number in the Big Ten. It's not the same.
Absolutely. Yep.
It's
Or the
just-
MAC. The MAC conference
right?
would be another one.
Your handle is different.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I know.
So I guess what we should do is probably. Should we go to round table
I'm ready. I
last
got work
call
to do.
here with best bets?
Yeah, give me a McDonald's Coca-Cola. Who has the best?
I'm-
and I'm
I
not
will
afraid. The best Coca-Colas ever. McDonald's.
I will say this, but no, I'm gonna respond to that as well because that's ridiculous, Tony Finn.
Okay.
I mean effing Finn, because Diet Coke is the same no matter where you buy it.
It's not true. Well, Diet
That's
Coke.
the Miami
Diet Coke
Dolphins go
is,
to McDonald's
but
every Sunday.
That's because Diet Coke doesn't have any syrup in it. It ain't worth a shit. Ain't worth drinking.
I could tell you that because when I lived in Las Vegas, they had
That's
a
right.
Coca-Cola factory. And
Yes.
you tour that place, and you drink Coca-Cola
The
from
best.
all over the world, and they don't taste anything alike.
No, they don't.
Some of that
Mexican-
stuff you spit right out
I
of your
believe
mouth.
that.
It's disgusting.
Mexico Coca-Cola is my favorite because of the sugar because of the mixture. But I have a family member who worked for McDonald's for years and years. And listen, the Coca-Cola comes out to each restaurant. They calibrate the syrup to the carbonation to a degree. If it's not within a certain amount, then you're failed. Their test. It's perfect, and it is the best Coca-Cola, fountain Coca-Cola on the planet. And McDonald's, I demand some money for saying that on this million this millions and millions of people view, and I just gave you a free plug.
Well, I think we should do
Give me
that.
my money. Give me my money, bitch. Huh?
I definitely think we should request that. I'll
Yes,
send it
I
over.
do too.
Yep.
Yeah. No, that's
Royalties.
my opinion. My opinion doesn't mean much. You see, I know that that's something I've learned over the years, that my opinion. It doesn't mean it's yours. It doesn't make it right. It is what it is. But you're right, John. Listen, you're right, Rob. Every Coca-Cola bottle, Mexico Coca-Cola in a bottle is the bomb. Capital B, bomb. Good stuff.
That factory was a awakening for me that day. You know, it just took the kids there. My kids were little. We took them there, sampled them all, and I mean, you get and I can't remember the countries that were horrid, believe me. But just for name's sake, I'll single out
Russia.
Ecuador. I mean, a can of Coca-Cola in Ecuador doesn't taste the same as it does in the United States. Those things are totally different. I was so surprised.
I grew up on
the
this
same
stuff, on
brand is
Russian
different.
chocolate. Have you ever tasted Russian chocolate? Let me tell you right now, bitter, and I'm certain that people who grew up in Russia would say you're wrong. It's good, but I expect chocolate to be have a certain taste, at least in a certain neighborhood. It's not even close. It's not close, and I'll spit it out.
Give me some real chocolate, damn it.
Give me some Hershey's, baby.
Oh, Las Vegas Chris is in the chat room.
Yeah, can you believe this? Guys who don't know Las Vegas Chris in the chat room, this guy took 2nd and 5th in the Circa Millions last year, and he still has not found the checks. At least I haven't been told that he found the checks. He lost them in his home.
He's got his fingers crossed on that.
And hopefully they'll turn up. I thought it'd be easy just to have the Circa reissue new checks, but apparently that it's more fun to have an Easter egg hunt.
It's like losing.
Checks.
It's like losing a ticket. If you lost that $2,000 win ticket on Tampa Bay on the Super Bowl, you don't have the ticket, you don't get paid.
But he still came in 2nd and 5th.
Well, yeah, they do. They still have his name up there. It's still official.
Yeah.
If he lost his ticket, his check, if you lose one of my checks and you come ask for them, I said, well, yeah, okay, well, I'll reissue it. You're gonna have to wait 180 days to make sure the other one doesn't clear.
I did 3 entries in the DraftKings Super Contest because I know the proxies are very reliable and it's worked well in the past. Some of the rules are still a little vague, and we've all had conversations with Las Vegas Chris about how week to week how the Circa was trying to handle it fairly, and sometimes it didn't. Depending on which end of the stick you were on, it didn't feel fair at all. So I just decided to go with them, and I don't like the rule. I think the Circa or the Super Contest has it that if you bet on a team and they cannot play because of COVID.
Yes. And
they forfeit, it counts as a loss.
He talked.
If you have the other team, though, it counts as a push, I believe, right?
He talked a little bit about it. I didn't pay much. Let's put it this way: whatever I heard didn't seem quite
logical.
It didn't seem logical. No.
Yeah.
I mean, if you forfeit, the other team wins, not pushes.
Yeah.
The other team wins.
Right. Not yet.
If you're gonna play the game that way, then the game's got to be played that way. And
you can't handicap COVID. And I mean, I hope we don't have to even have a game that's canceled.
Handicapping COVID becomes a little easier. Listen, if we have the percentages of players who are vaccinated, then you can handicap that to some degree. Now, of course, it's silly to say that we're going to even attempt to do such, right? But if not one person was vaccinated on the Indianapolis Colts, then I'm going to have a problem betting them until right before game because I want to make sure that everyone's playing. You know?
Yep.
Yeah.
Did you watch the golf yesterday?
No, in fact, but I did talk about golf yesterday. I said, boy, I sure hope that John doesn't come up with golf. I didn't mention golf next time I'm on the show.
Man alive. I think there's a wave right now in the media.
Yeah.
And I support
I'm sure
this
you started
wave.
it too.
Well, when I jump in a pool, I don't make that big a wave, but I try. But Patrick Cantley won, and I don't know if you were on the show last week when I had him as one of the guys.
I'm certain I wasn't.
And he, to win top 10. And there was 2 others. Obviously, those didn't win, but they also came in top 10. I had a DraftKings lineup with both DeChambeau and Cantley, which did pretty well. Not as well as the week before, but it cashed, 3 of the 5 tickets. But the point is that golfing by those 2 guys in 6 playoff holes was the most spectacular golf I ever saw in my life.
See,
I was out of my mind watching it.
Speaking of something that's difficult, you can handicap one golfer and play them to be who you think will perform. But the problem is you have to handicap another 149 golfers too. I don't have time to do that.
The past week it was only 125. This past week was only 70.
Then you have to handicap another 69. Hell, I don't have time to handicap another 9, yet alone 140, 59, whatever it is. You have to handicap everybody. And even if you handicap everybody, in a game like football, 2 teams, even if things go bad, it's a coin flip. In golf, my God, it can go bad. Hell, 10 other golfers can play better than the guy that you picked out, and he may have performed at a career best. So that's why you get paid so well, and that's why you guys make the big money, you smart guys. And why me? I don't handicap golf.
Well, to be fair,
yeah,
I said to go against Dustin Johnson because he hasn't been playing well.
He's on the juice again.
Fortunately, the matchups. Well, he played pretty damn well this week, but the matchups I had with him actually
got good juice then.
Panned out. Thank God. But he shot 20 under.
That's some good juice.
He was 20 under. Yeah. T6. Tied with that old man Sergio Garcia, who I still love watching him play.
Listen, Sergio needs to take 10 times the juice. He needs a lot. He needs some juice, not only to play well. You got to get that son of a bitch over the hump. He's another one of those finish second. He had a lot of career seconds in his career. Am I wrong about Sergio?
Well, he's got the major.
Don't look it up. Don't test. Don't look it up in RBQ and tell me how many seconds he had.
He beat John Rahm this past week in the tournament. He finished ahead of John Rahm, who was T9.
He's still got some lingering COVID issues, but we'll just forget. We'll give him a pass. So,
but this week we'll talk about golf tomorrow because I'll have the pool.
I'm sick. I forgot to tell you I'll be sick tomorrow.
But I think what I'm about to say, I think is going to provoke you.
Oh.
To look this up.
Okay.
Because this is the part of the FedEx Cup that I don't like.
How come? What makes you think I don't already know the answer? I don't have to look it up.
The winner gets $20 million.
Okay.
All right. So Cantlay and DeChambeau are going. I mean, they just like one haymaker after another. Cantlay set the PGA Tour record for shots gained putting at 14.5, which is unheard of. I mean, double digits is remote. And if you watch it, Tony, I'm telling you, when he lined up a putt, even from 22 feet, you could tell by his body language. If I was playing poker with the guy,
those are skewed
he had
stats.
aces every single hand.
Those are skewed stats. How many putts per round you had? They're skewed. What if you hit every single one of your approach shots are 1 foot from the pin?
Well, no, he was draining stuff.
I know, but I'm saying
20 and 30 feet.
What if every approach shot you hit is 1 foot from the pin?
Well, it couldn't be.
Then you would say, well, it could be. You say that's impossible?
Yeah.
It's not impossible.
No, there's no way that even these guys could stick it 1 foot from the hole, every single hole. Although they were trying to.
Some might be 6 inches, but everything's within a foot.
But
it's not impossible. It's not possible. It's not possible to miss the green 18 straight times and be on the fringe and hit your chip a foot from the pin, which is your first putt after that. True?
Okay, shots gained putting counts for greens in regulation.
Okay, well.
Birdie and eagle putts only.
I see.
So
so what if I only have one? What if I just chip in every hole and I only have one putt for the whole 18 holes?
Well, then that wouldn't count for the statistics against the field because you didn't have a putt.
It's not my fault that course was too damn easy. I chipped everything in.
Well, that's what Cantlay was doing.
Yeah.
He had the most difficult chip you could imagine in the sudden death the first time they played 18.
Yeah.
And he almost hold it. And you can tell.
It's all my fault we're still talking golf.
He didn't care about what the announcers were saying that, oh boy, DeChambeau's got the edge. And he hit the flag. It just didn't stay in the hole. But if you see that chip and the rough he was in, and the way he just approached that like this is romper room, it blew my mind.
That's skill. When you hit a chip and it hits the top of the flag and drops in the hole, and the guy says, "Did you call glass or did you call stick?"
I don't think they do that in golf.
I called stick all the way. Don't try to. I called stick.
I don't think they do that in golf, but
they're going to start. Once they watch this show, we just made it up. It's coming. It's trending.
There was a story out though that during the playoff, it got a little heated between DeChambeau and Cantlay. Cantlay's stone face. Cantlay is just nothing bothers him.
I saw DeChambeau play 2 holes yesterday. Two holes. Both of them he hit in the water, and he looked like, where did the water come from? Where the hell did the water come from? I didn't see that water.
So true. That is so true.
And both look at our face like, here it is. I don't get it.
Yeah, it's like this.
What? The water? How'd I go in the water? I hit that perfectly.
But anyway,
Yeah.
this is what I want you to prepare yourself for tomorrow for at least a 1 minute discussion from you.
Not me.
In the final,
I have nothing.
these
to
two
add.
guys yesterday were competing for the number 1 seed.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in this event at Eastlake in Atlanta, which McElroy owns, by the way, he owns that course.
Okay. Just before you go any further, you have to. I only handicap athletes and sports.
Oh no! Here we go, Rob.
Here we go.
Here we go. Athletes.
I only handicap athletes and sports. And I don't consider curling. I don't care what you say. I do not consider curling a sport.
I don't consider it as hard as golf.
Here come the tweets. Here come the drive-bys.
A 6.5 mile walk, pressure, 4 days in a row.
Quaaludes and alcohol. No pressure. Can walk a long ways.
And you'd wear pants like John Daly.
And that would be something wrong with that?
No, I'm not saying it is. But, Tony.
Okay.
The leader is Cantley, right? He starts before even teeing off at 10 under.
Huh?
Yeah.
What?
He starts off at 10 under.
Right.
DeChambeau is 8 under,
Right.
and so on and so forth. And these guys have to play to catch Cantley, who starts at 10 under.
It's so.
And they're playing for
exhausting
$20
to
million.
think about. Okay, go ahead. None of them.
I want you to tell me why that is horribly bad.
I'll tell you what. It's first off, if it's the equivalent of this, it's the equivalent of us three. Maybe not. It probably will be equivalent maybe between you two because you're both wealthy, and I'm not. I have 4 kids. But here's the deal, and that it's the equivalent of you two going head to head for $200 million when you already have $100 million in the bank. They don't care. I don't give a shit. I love seeing old John McEnroe get irate at the officials, and he says, "Jerk, you prick, did answer the question." That was McEnroe, and he's intense. And people say he's intense because for this much money. John McEnroe already got He already got $200 million in the bank. He didn't care about the money. It was all about the competition, nothing about the money. So when people bring that money stuff in with guys who are already multimillionaires or already have or stolen 200,000 shares of Exxon, they don't care about the money.
What the hell does Exxon have to do with
I don't know. I
sports?
thought I'd throw that in because I think that's pretty good.
Well, yes, it was.
Exxon is because if you got 200,000 Exxon, you don't give a shit about the money.
Okay, so by analogy, the golf, the way they're doing it, I ignored that, by the way. The way the golf is doing it, then let's have the college football playoff.
Yeah.
And instead, let's make Alabama, since they're the number 1 seed, just saying.
Yeah.
Let's make them plus 10 on the board. They get a 10-0 lead over whoever the hell they're playing because they finished number 1. That's what golf's doing.
They are?
Yeah, Cantley starts out 10 under. He doesn't even tee off.
Well, you mean because of the handicap thing?
Well, it's kind of a handicap. It's giving credit to the guy who finished first in the points.
What's the difference of that? What's that? It's the same way they start every football Sunday. One team starts.
But it's not on the scoreboard.
Huh?
It's not on the scoreboard. It's 0-0
on
the
my
scoreboard.
scoreboard. At home, I'm -7. It's already
He's not
up
getting
there
it, Rob.
on my scoreboard.
Well, I
Before
think
this event
the part he's
starts.
missing is that the favorite is the one getting the points here.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah.
I mean,
well,
if the Chiefs are playing Jacksonville and the
Yeah.
Chiefs are 13.5, and the game starts with Jacksonville being 13.5,
there's lots of things that start that way, guys. Really, there are. I mean, the better you do.
Well, point me in the direction of a game where Jacksonville opens up losing to Kansas City 13.5 to nothing before it even starts.
Here's the point.
Because I want to bet. You said I'm
Okay.
wealthy.
Yeah,
I'll become
that's right.
even wealthier if I could find that game.
Okay, I'll explain it to you. Okay.
Okay.
So a team wins. They go 16-0 during the regular season, right?
Okay.
And they have another team that goes 15-1 during the regular season. And they're both going to meet. They're both in the same conference. They're going to play to go to the Super Bowl. The team that goes 16-0 gets home field advantage. They get to choose what's in the locker room, how many viruses are planted in every corner of that locker room, how many prostitutes are popping out of lockers in that locker. They put everything in the corner of the team that is with the better record. And I know I'm embellishing,
But what's the scoreboard say? What's the scoreboard say during this?
The scoreboard says this. This is what the scoreboard says. It says it in so many words. It doesn't matter how many effing points that you give this team. We already have them beat before they take the field.
When the national anthem is being played, what is the score in that game you just outlined?
I just told you.
0-0.
No. Well, yes,
0-0.
0-0.
What's the score in the PGA event for the final?
The surface
10-zip.
The surface score may be 0-0, but it ain't 0-0. The underlying score is not 0-0. Every single member of the other team's got a virus. They're throwing up. The starting quarterback's still in the bathroom stall with one of the girls. It's in. The fix is in. We got it.
And that goes on all the time. Right. I mean, the teams in South Florida, when you go to visit them, and it's 95 degrees, and they make you stand on the sunny side of the field and wear the dark jerseys on top of it.
Thank you very much.
No fans.
Thank you.
Does it? But does the game start with the team having all the advantages already ahead by 3 touchdowns?
It started long before the clock ever says 14 minutes and 59 seconds. It started long before that.
They used to do it in the Boston Garden all the time, right? The Boston Garden, they turn the heat up to an unbearable temperature, 120, and make the other team,
Not very long ago.
That's very true.
Not very long ago. In dome stadiums, when I was up to bat, they would turn the air conditioning on, and then when you were up to bat, they'd turn the damn air conditioning off. And I'm telling you right now, my balls flew a hell of a lot longer than your balls.
That's interesting, Tony.
Huh?
It's very scientific.
It's true. It's fact. It's fact. In fact, it's fact that. Who just got fined for that recently? They said, listen, you guys got to stop this shit. You can't be turning the air conditioning on. Was it in Arizona? Where was it? You can't turn the air conditioning on when you're at bat, and you can't turn it off when the other team's at bat.
I'm sure glad that Las Vegas Chris
act of
brought
God.
some common sense to this damn show.
In God before there's any act of God.
Right. Yes. I mean, you can tell he's highly intelligent.
Who? God?
Las Vegas Chris.
You're right. God's very highly intelligent. It's certainly not Vegas Chris.
If I told him about the unfairness of the PGA Tour, he would go, "Oh yeah, I agree, John."
He would?
Yeah, I think he would.
I don't suck ass like that. I don't suck ass. I just don't do that.
Well, I'll tell you what.
DNA. I'd rather start a fight than agree.
I hope that the Arizona Diamondbacks don't suck tonight, and that is my best bet for the show.
We'll call and then get the air conditioning on when they're up to bat.
And I'm going to go on record saying that I'm going to bet against, for the show purposes. I mean, some of them could end up in my my client's inbox, but probably not. But let's see how favorites of minus 300 do over the next week, and then the next week, and the next week. And I have a funny feeling that if you take pizza money and bet against these 300 favorites, you might own a part of a pizza shop.
Well, guess what? Or you could be dead broke. It just depends on how this round of minus 300s go.
I'm going to win at least one between now and the end of the year.
Well, I tell you what.
At least one.
Now you said that, I'm quite certain that you may not.
The key words in what John said were funny feeling and might.
Funny feeling and a gut feeling, and I know
That's
for
confidence.
a fact it's not gas because I haven't eaten anything for 10 days.
Oh, dear Lord.
All right, so Tony Finn, what is your free pick for the show?
Free pick for the show. My free pick is to bet on the team that's 43-23 on the road tonight, and they're on the road tonight as small favorites, and they're pitching against a Luis Tiant want to be, and arguably the best pitcher in baseball. You know what Luis Tiant tonight is going to do? Luis Tiant is going to give up 3 runs in 5 or 6 innings. So you have to beat Burns for 8 innings or you lose. And
Wow.
all you're asking me to do is lay 125? Okay. Here I am. Here's my money. Milwaukee Brewers minus 125, 130. Burns over Luis Tiant. Argue with me that Luis Tiant has a lot to pitch for because they're still in a heated battle with the Dodgers and Milwaukee is not because they're 80,000 games ahead of the Reds. You're correct. However, I'll also take a team that has nothing to play for that's loose above and beyond a team that has pressure on them. $20 million at first place, pressure. Got to walk 6.5 miles. Oh my God, I got to walk 6.5 miles for $20 million. I can't possibly make it.
Is he making fun of the PGA Tour, Rob?
It's possible.
Is that really
very possible?
I have a handicap.
Really what he's doing?
I have his handicap, and they turned me down for the PGA Tour because they wouldn't let me take a cart. Sons of bitches.
Do you know Carmine has me on the A team on WagerTalk's golf team when we come out there for our big celebration?
Who's that?
I'm just telling you.
Carmine?
I don't. I'll play. I might play.
You're resting your hopes on a Canadian. Oh shit! Here comes.
Well, it's Nick Borman. Nick Borman and I together with him.
No, I love you, Canadian. I love the Canadians. I love them. I love them. They're a great hockey team. That's all I got.
Okay. All right, so we'll go to Rob Veno now, and
Rob is much more politically correct, smarter than
Tony
me.
and I'll stop arguing.
I'm not arguing with you. It's dialogue.
Over life-changing events,
again, let me say
like
again.
getting
I am
a
a
point
golfer.
in the circle.
I played golf my whole life until I got married and had children. Well, that would be half my life. I played golf half of my life. That's what I did. And then I had to quit playing golf. Why, Tony? Well, because it takes 5 hours and it cost a week's worth of formula. That's why I quit playing golf. At least that's why
I had a secret from day one. My oldest boy's a member at a club, and now it's my turn to be the guest.
I like that. I don't. Well, but yeah. Well, my son's still in college, and one's a beer meister. One's learning. One of them is brewing. Is a brewmeister, and so neither one can afford to join a club of white supremacist that kind of a caliber of a club. Not saying that you belong to Augusta, but then oh, did I just throw Augusta under the bus too? Shit,
You might have.
I'm on
Maine.
a roll today. Now,
all right, Rob Veno, take us home.
Please,
or actually,
take it away.
your free pick, and then I'll take us home.
I gotta go. I'm tired.
I don't want August to end. Don't want it to end. But anyway, Rob Veno, you have the mic, and Tony Finn and I will be quiet.
All right.
For 2 minutes and 30 seconds.
I'm totally disappointed in Carm taking the LeBron James approach and trying to create a super team so that the golf match isn't even fair. He'll take all the best golfers at WagerTalk, and we'll play all of you who can't play golf, and we'll see who wins.
That probably
doesn't sound like any fun.
It probably speaks to Carm's golf game, but go on.
Yeah, I'm disappointed in Carm. But if he sends me a lasagna, I could not be disappointed anymore. Listen, I don't know how we end up this way, but I end up free play, and I'm not changing it just because he just talked about it. I mean, my free play was going to be on Milwaukee. It's just a different approach. It's on the 5-inning line where I can lay a little less. I'm laying $1.15 minus a half a run with Corbin Burns. But real quick here, guys, just on, to be simplistic, I guess, just based on numbers. But here's Corbin Burns, first 5 innings since the beginning of July. Since the beginning of June, Milwaukee's 11-1-1 ahead in the game since the 13 starts he's had since June. If you put him on the road since then, Milwaukee's 7-0 after 5 innings with Burns on the mound. If you take it from the All-Star break, every game he's pitched, they're 6-1 with him on the hill, first 5 innings. So 6-1, 7-0, 11-1-1. No matter how I want to, slice this up, they win first 5 innings with Corbin Burns on the hill. So can he outpitch number 23, Louis Tiant? I'm hoping so. They have to win by 1 run, first 5 innings. Some of the scores, guys, that they've been ahead by with Burns on the hill. He's gotten some pretty good run support after getting none in April and May. And the month of May, he got no run support whatsoever. And 3 of the 5 games in April, he got none either. But since then, I mean, these are the numbers: 5-0, 4-1, 8-5, 8-0, 2-0, 1-0 in this same matchup against the Giants when they just played the most recent series. He led 1-0 after 5. And his one loss came to Cincinnati, 3-1. But give me Corbin Burns minus half a run, first 5 innings. I'll lay the 15 cents. Johnny Cueto did have a nice start last time out, but I just have a feeling that doesn't repeat itself here. And I was a big fan of Louis Tiant, Tony.
Me too.
And I liked that.
Yeah.
The guy who was best man at my wedding actually threw that way when we were kids. So, and he was a Red Sox fan, of course. But, Louis Tiant was quite the pitcher. I don't think Johnny Cueto is Louis Tiant.
No, he want to be. I was very clear with that. Want to be.
One more thing I heard today, real quick.
It's not nearly as big either.
Because Las Vegas Chris was identified by John as highly intelligent because he agreed with John. So if you agree with John, you're highly intelligent. If you disagree with John, you're not so intelligent, Tony.
Then I would think, and I see Chris quite often. I saw him this morning.
He's in your garage right now.
Just saw him hours ago. And that's pretty much what Chris is as well. If you agree with Chris, you are highly intelligent. And if you disagree with Chris, you're not paying attention to the facts.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you. Can you hear me, Chris? Can you hear me now? Thank you, Chris.
You're not paying attention to the facts. And that is exactly. So you two.
Peas and carrots, man.
Brothers from different mothers. So, yeah. And
as far as we know.
Let me piggyback. Can I piggyback onto Robbie? Here's what you have with Burns. And this isn't half game, full game. Here's what you get, though. You have a lineup that Burns has faced, and it's not a small sample size. It's not a huge sample size. However, the current lineup, at best, can bat 172 lifetime against Burns. 172. On-base percentage, best, 195. Slugging percentage, at best, 222. And the OPS, which should be against the law,
awful.
Which should be against the law, 417.
Can you imagine?
Now, of the 40 and a strikeout percentage, every third batter that faces Burns tonight will strike out. And one batter in the 27 outs, one will walk.
It's pretty good.
If you can get that from Cueto tonight, I'm wrong. I lose. But
I love it.
That's on average what you're going to get from Burns. That's on average. That's just what he's been across the board against the current lineup or potential lineups. And it's not one or two guys. Listen, the best, Buster Posey has the best numbers against Burns. And if Posey's not in the lineup tonight, that average goes to 132. On-base percentage goes to 155 because Posey is hitting 714 against Burns. 5 for 7. All Texas leaguers. 5 Texas leaguers to 5 singles and 7 at bats. And that's the best.
I must say,
I can give you. Well, you know what? I can't give you anything else. It's nothing else. And no one else has more than 1 hit against Burns except for Brandon Belt, who has 2.
And that, my friends, comes from a highly intelligent man, Tony Finn.
And for those who might think that, Chris Bryant was held out yesterday because he was injured, but the manager, Gabe Kapler, says he's going to play tonight, and that's an advantage to you. Chris Bryant, a guy who played with the Cubs
you guys can hear me?
Faced Milwaukee, he's 1 for 9 against Corbin Burns. So there's no advantage there having Chris Bryant tonight and his 1 for 9.
So
there you go.
I know you can still hear me. I'll put this.
I take back.
I can't hear you, but I will say
the show.
I say play first 5. I say play game. I say play
I
series.
think I agree with both of those.
Milwaukee.
Hey,
Yep.
Tone, real quick. Let me just say this, guys. Oh, John is drunk. Maybe.
Yeah, so I take back what I said about intelligence. I'm going to call him right after the show is done because I'm not sitting here like this.
Boy,
I want to say real quick.
I got up at
here,
4:30 this morning and worked.
to the point
Go
Tony
ahead.
was making about maybe Milwaukee so far ahead in the Central Division. The other team has something to play for. These two are still playing for first place overall. And Milwaukee's only 5.5 games behind that. So this series becomes pretty important to them if they want everything to run through Milwaukee, which would be a bonus for them to play at home.
Yep.
Yes, it would be.
So there's still a little something for the Brewers to chase after here, especially in this series. And I think that they'll be more than ready for it. Whether or not they win the whole series is another question. But there's motivation, that's for sure.
Yeah, I agree.
Yep.
Listen, and if I ask
I
you,
meant finish drunk. Okay.
Right,
Well,
so I
we
take
can
that
buy
back, Las Vegas, Chris. You're still intelligent.
okay, well, tell us something we don't already know. Jesus, if you're gonna be breaking news, Finn is drunk, and
What's curious is they got me confused with you.
well, that is quite alarming.
I mean, that's a head scratcher there.
It's
but-
quite alarming in my world.
and I do appreciate this. You don't have to be transparent.
Why are you repeating this golf stuff again? I thought we were done with that.
More golf.
Well, I'm just saying, I just wanted to call it.
I thought we were done with it.
You probably hear my lab in the background. He and
He's
my
saying,
buddy were
"Oh my
hiking
God."
yesterday, and we stumbled upon a huge yellow jacket nest, and it was not good. And fortunately for us, it wasn't a disaster. He did get stung right above his right eye, but it's all healed up today. But at one point, he was the Labrador version of Rocky. Never cried in pain. Wanted to play fetch, but the poor guy's eye was like shut.
That's happened.
So I guess
many times.
I think Rob had to answer the door for Las Vegas Chris. I think he
No,
left
I wanted-
your
John,
garage, Tony.
You know, I thought my dog was squealing out there, so I went to go see
Oh,
what
it's
was wrong,
mine.
but I bet you it was yours.
It is. You can hear him in the background. He wants to play fetch, and
My dog is terrified to squeal. Might attract some neighbors that he wants nothing to do with.
Well, his Instagram account is at Red Fox Manny.
Wow.
All right.
You see,
Not to be confused with the show, mind you.
Lassie.
All right, so to recap here, I'll get you guys going here.
Thank you.
Arizona is best bet. Then we have Pizza Money betting against favorites of minus 300 and higher. Milwaukee minus 135. Minus 115. Half a run. First five. Milwaukee over San Francisco. And we're hitting 64% over 22 shows. Let's go 2-1 or 3-0 tonight, guys.
What's this, again? One of the things you're going to have to do. I apologize for bringing this up, and I apologize for putting extra work on your putting green. But this is going to happen, and that is 64%. We need ROI.
So we need ROI with golfers on putting.
No, we need ROI. You said 64% winners in this
He watched
free winner.
ROI
So
out
I
of
would
free
suggest
picks.
that you go to ROI.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Or at least have both, right?
That's true.
Because it
That
is golf.
true.
It's baseball season. So
Yep.
yeah. And I'm certain that you're going to have some hockey games here coming up soon. We're going to be minus 250s or minus 300 when the
Yep.
Canadians are playing the 1982 U.S. Olympic team or something. I don't know what year it was, but
Mike Eruzione.
Mike Eruzione.
Mhm.
Lake Placid, New York. What year was that?
1980.
1980.
Good year, 80. It's a good year. How I was just a baby as 20 years old. Maybe it depends on what period of 80. I was drunk
Well,
too.
with the sounds you hear in the background, and to Las Vegas Chris's credit, it's time to how do they say that? Water water the dog and feed the feed the lawn and water the dog.
Oh, all right.
I'm glad you finally got that
Yeah.
out because it was kind of really messing with my
Yeah.
head.
Yeah,
They don't say that in Kansas.
it's a northeastern thing.
Yeah. You don't want to know what we say. You don't want to know what we say. We're men are men and sheep are scared. That's what it is.
I never understood that. I researched that.
Oh, well, that's because. Oh, don't. We're
Just
not
didn't get
going to
it.
explain it to you.
And then the whole thing with the big long boots. Why would you put a sheep's legs in your boots in the first
Wicked
place?
Witch of the West put everybody up to that. Dorothy would never have allowed such a thing. Toto
you're right.
would have eaten the ends of those pointy boots. Yeah.
All right. So, guys, thanks for your time. Seriously, we had a lot of fun today.
Yes, we did. And
Las Vegas Chris in the chat room made it even more livelier
I'll be sick tomorrow.
with his elite intelligence and a facial recognition. So
You're not going anywhere. You don't go anywhere in Las Vegas. They know where you are and they know who you are.
Brother's
Everywhere you go.
So, on
If you
behalf
think
of
you can
Tony
walk-
Finn,
If you think
Rob
you can walk
Veno,
into a casino,
myself, the Predictive Playbook, Sportsmemo, and WagerTalk. Thanks for listening, guys. We'll see you tomorrow, and may all the wins be yours.